Hello and welcome to my video series for Dyspraxia Awareness Week. I'm actually trying to vlog. Let's see how this goes. Let's have a cup of tea. Let's have a cup of tea and question our life decisions. That's coffee. I know quite a lot of people are also doing other things this week. This is my little contribution. Unfortunately, I am a master's student and therefore I don't have a lot of time, really, to devote to this kind of thing. As a result, these videos are going to be quite basic. I'm an animator, but there will be no animation involved in this because I just don't have the time for that right now. Disclaimer. There is a saying in the autistic community which is, if you've met one autistic person, then you've met one autistic person. And it is very similar with dyspraxia. If you've met one dyspraxic person, you have met one dyspraxic person. And as a result, not all of these symptoms that I'm going to list might be applicable to everyone with dyspraxia. Everyone copes with dyspraxia in their own way. Everyone's got their own mitigations. Some people might be able to do things while some people can't. It's not clear cut. Are you dyspraxic? Do you want to know if you might be? Well, you clicked on this video, so maybe let's find out. Now, what is dyspraxia? So, dyspraxia is a learning difference, also known as a neurodiversity, a bit like autism or ADHD. It affects about 10% of the population, though statistics vary as the way that they diagnose dyspraxia might vary between different studies. But yes, it is believed to be around 10% of the population. What does dyspraxia affect? And why haven't you heard of it? Well, let's find out more. Dyspraxia might mean that you've got poor gross or fine motor coordination. Gross motor coordination means the larger movements that you make, like with your arms or your legs. So it might affect your ability to play sport well, or catch balls, or run or ride a bike, or you might struggle to dance, like to plan and coordinate your movements. You might find that you bump into other people. You might struggle to move your arms in two different ways in order to carry out a certain dance move, for example. Or you might struggle with balance. So you might find yourself falling over a lot or tripping over things because you haven't lifted up your foot quite as high as it should be. In regards to fine motor coordination, that involves using your smaller parts of your body, like your fingers or perhaps your mouth. So maybe you find that you slur words or you have poor handwriting. Maybe you might even struggle to draw or do buttons or play chess. Another major thing that dyspraxia affects is organisation, which is probably why I have left it so late to make these videos, because I had no idea that Dyspraxia Awareness Week was next week. That was a mistake. If you're dyspraxic, you might find that you're very disorganised. You might forget homework, or you might get to places later than you should. You might also find yourself struggling to plan things. Maybe you don't think before you do an action, or you struggle to plan how you're going to carry out a certain task, like a certain piece of coursework that you have to do. You might struggle to work out how you are going to separate each bit of your work into separate stages. All of this can of course affect your schoolwork, but might also affect dyspraxic adults in their working lives. And sometimes the way that we organise ourselves can seem pretty disorganised to other people, even if we have our own methods. You might also find that you get lost easily. Maybe you can't remember how you got to a certain place. And so you might actually, just get lost, I guess. But you might also struggle to know how to orientate yourself on a map, or how to use Google Maps and, work out where you are in relation to the things around you. Dyspraxia also affects short-term memory, but it can give you a really good long-term memory. So whilst you might not be able to remember things that just happened a few minutes ago, at least not until a few hours after they happened, you might be able to remember something that happened to you at the age of 3. The inability to remember things in the short term can also affect our ability to follow instructions, as you may find that you forget certain steps. Or you might find just being given a lot of instructions at once, with no staging in between them, is just incredibly overwhelming, and so you might only be able to focus on one thing at a time, and then be given another instruction after. This links in with our ability to process things going on around us. So dyspraxic people might be oversensitive to noise, touch, taste and smell, or they might find themselves to be undersensitive. This can have an effect on our ability to understand people in busy environments, and also can lead us to getting very overwhelmed if there is too much happening at once. Or maybe if you are understimulated by these things, you might find that you actually seek them out. You might get understimulated in one regard, and so you might seek it out, but you might get overstimulated in another regard, and so you actively avoid it. For example, someone might be understimulated to textures, and they might actually seek out textures, whilst they might be overstimulated by noise, and so they will actively avoid noisy environments. It's not clear cut. Dyspraxic people might not like rough textures on clothes or clothes that are too tight to the skin. They might not like environments where people are shoving up against them or there's a lot of noise going on. They might not like very smelly environments and might find that they struggle to concentrate in those. You might be wondering, yes, this does sound like me, but why? Why is this happening? What is causing it? Well, unfortunately, we don't really have the answers for that. The cause of dyspraxia is not known. It is thought it might have multiple causes, and what causes dyspraxia in one person might not necessarily cause dyspraxia in another. As a result, it is sometimes referred to as an umbrella diagnosis. It has been shown, though, that dyspraxic people often have dyspraxic family members, or at least family members with dyspraxic traits. This suggests that to a certain extent it is genetic. It might be caused by a difference in the neurons, which are specialised cells that take information from the brain to parts of your body and vice versa. Or it might even be caused by a difference in sensory processing. Maybe we just don't perceive the environment around us the same as everyone else, and as a result we aren't entirely sure where we are within the space around us. This is also why dyspraxia affects spatial awareness, and you might find that you're more likely to bump into doors, bump into bed frames, and just basically get bruises that you don't know the source of. You also might be wondering, is there a cure for dyspraxia? And like other neurodivergencies, it is a fundamental part of your brain and how it works. And as a result, whilst you might be able to get therapy to improve certain symptoms of dyspraxia, there is no actual cure for dyspraxia itself. I apologise for the shortness of this video. It's a bit of a whistle-stop tour of dyspraxia. There's going to be a few more videos coming out this week. Let me know in the comments if this was helpful, if you think you're dyspraxic, if you've been diagnosed with dyspraxia. It'd be great to find out.